2 years ago, I showed you how to make this incredible sundubu paste. With that paste, you can make sundubu in under 5 minutes. I promise you, faster than ramen. And I guarantee the taste is
amazing!
Now, over the years, we did get some feedback that the recipe is good, but the batch is huge. With the previous recipe, you'll make up to this much paste. And for like a 2-person serving, you only need 2 tablespoons. So you can see this will last like another quarantine. So today we're gonna do the same recipe, but cut it by half. And I'm gonna show you a little bit more tweaks that could adjust it exactly to your palate. So let's begin. And if you haven't tried sundubu, you haven't tried Korean cooking. This paste, we're going to include some fresh ingredients. Start off with a half a cup of onions. You want it like finely diced like this. Doesn't have to be too fine. Then a 1/4 cup of spring onions. And then a 1/4 cup of minced pork. Here, if you can't do pork, it's okay. Do a 1/4 cup of minced beef or minced mushroom. That also works as well. Now, when we start cooking, which we're going to do very shortly, we want 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil and ½ tablespoon of sesame oil. I combined the 2. Of course, our garlic, 3 tablespoons of minced garlic, and then soy sauce. We have 3 tablespoons of soy sauce here. 1½ tablespoons of sugar, and then 2 tablespoons of sogum, which means salt in Korean. Say it again. Sogum. Good, you're learning Korean. And then our most important thing, we need a ½ cup of gochugaru. Now for this, I would highly recommend buying Korean grown gochugaru. Some brands import their chili from China, but it doesn't have that fiery punch and kick that this Korean grown one has. Put this on a medium-high heat. We'll put this mixed oil, vegetable oil, and sesame oil in. Once you make this paste, give some to your friends or your family, and then buy them some silken tofu. They come in these tubes. They're gonna love tofu afterwards. They're amazing. Add in our spring onions. Once it starts sizzling like that, we'll add in the ground pork. Make sure you break up the meat pieces so that they don't clump together and turn into a little hamburger. No hamburgers here. Then add in the diced onions. Then the onions, of course, in the heat, they're gonna release liquid. We wanna keep stir fry until most of that liquid has evaporated or until the onions turn translucent. All right, now the onions have turned translucent and there's not that much liquid. This is the leftover oil. Put in our minced garlic, all right? Mix that in. The big papas here, all right? Drop in all of that Korean red chili flakes. Wow, that's gonna soak up all of the rest of the moisture in the frying pan. And after that, because you don't want the gochugaru to burn, we're gonna reduce this to a medium-low. Then let's add our sugar to this, and then our salt. Get this mixed in, guys. And then finally our soy sauce. Guaranteed to remind you that your body still is functioning. Wow. Then quickly put it into a mixing bowl so it could cool down. Pan it out a little bit. And to make like a pot of sundubu, we only need 2 tablespoons of this at a time. So this, I think, will produce still quite a lot. All right, guys, we're gonna save 2 tablespoons for today's recipe. It's like Korean ice cream. With the rest of the paste, what I like to do, I could put out like a plastic bag. All right, and you see it's very dry. There's no liquid. Then lay it down flat, and then I like to just flatten out a little bit. Let me give it a fold. All right, guys, then get another Ziploc bag, and then straight into the freezer. Now, if you look underneath, this is another batch that I tried yesterday. And I just want to show you that this paste, when it freezes, it doesn't turn hard. It's soft, right? It's still malleable, right? So it's very easy. So you don't have to thaw it or anything like that. You can just come in and scoop 2 tablespoons and that's it. And again, neighbors, it's time to be a little charitable. Divide it into however many quarters and give some to friends and family. And this stew is going to cook quickly, so I like to have all the fresh ingredients on the side. 1 shiitake mushroom, or in Korea we call it pyogo. So pyogo 버섯, pyogo mushroom. 1 egg to drop into the piping hot soup. If you don't do that, that's not sundubu. And then completely optional, these clams were on sale, so I picked them up. But we can drop 3 or 4 clams and then maybe a shrimp, if you like seafood, into the stew as well. And the most important thing is to get like a little tube of sundubu. Katie, what are you cleaning? All right, and then the most important thing is, of course, this sundubu. This is silken tofu, and we're using around 350 grams. Normally, it comes around this size. If you're using 400 grams, good as well. All right, and then the best thing to cook this in is in a tukbaegi. This is a Korean earthen pot. You can find one at gochujang. Unfortunately, right now, we can't ship because of COVID, but once things settle down, go grab one. This tukbaegi retains heat very well, so when you eat, the stew is still very, very hot. But of course, you can still use a regular POT. First step, we're gonna put in a ½ cup of water. In our previous recipe, we used a 1/3 cup of water, but I think ½ cup is a little bit better. So use ½ cup. Then our 2 tablespoons of our sundubu paste. Let's put this on a medium-high heat. Break it down a little bit.
So from now on, how long do you expect it to take?
It's gonna cook faster than ramen. Once this pot comes to boil, we're gonna add in our mushrooms. Give that a quick mix around. And that mushroom's gonna release its flavor into the broth as well. And if you're using seafood, clams like me, or even shrimps, add them in now so that they can open up. Then once it comes back up to a boil, we're gonna add in our tofu. Wow, good. Break some of the larger pieces down. Not too much, all right, for the visual. All right, just a little bit, break it in so that it gets into the sauce. I like these big pieces on top, like that. Very nice. All right, guys, and at this point, key step, take a sip of the broth. That tastes perfect for me. If it tastes a little bit spicy or a little bit salty for you, take some water and you can add like a little dash like this. I'll add some just to show you, right? Like that, 1 dash. Or 2 dash, okay? To this, it ain't sundubu without an egg. I'll drop that right there. Holy shnikes. Shells have opened up of spring onions on the side for color. Oh my God. Then if you like, I like just 1 or 2 touches of black pepper. Holy shnikes.
Soon to the do to the boo.
You can dump a little bit of the tofu over the egg so that it cooks down a little bit more. It's like hiding the bean sprouts when you're eating pho. Alright, and we'll come back to that a little bit later. And Katie, how do we eat this?
You put it over the rice.
Alright, mix it in.
Wow.
Alright, and then you just take a nice big bite.
And let's try this shell.
You get the little clams in there as well. If you like clams, put that on top. Beautiful ingredient. This recipe, it's the end game. This is all 5 millennial stones. It's done.